a time when the world was new. There was light during the day, but it was pitch black at night. And this was a bit of a problem because sometimes people needed to travel at night. So when they needed to do that, then they would hire Ciar, the giant steel bat, because he was able to traverse the night in the darkness. But it worked for a while, but then he realized how much he was needed, and he started breaking his agreements and stealing from people and just doing whatever he pleased, because people couldn't do without him. So the king decided that they needed to find another option. So he put out a proclamation saying that whoever could bring light to the night sky would be given great treasures. And now lots of people tried, but they failed. And sometimes they failed because the bat sabotaged them. So one day, a young man named Nieren decided that he was going to give it a shot. He thought he could do it. He had seen hunters using their bows and arrows and noticed how far the arrows flew. And he thought that maybe if he made a special bow and special arrows, he would be able to reach the night sky and pierce it to let in light. So he talked to a bunch of bards and travelers to try and figure out how he would do this, and he came up with the plan. To make his bows and arrows, he needed flint, feathers, string, and wood. Now, he was able to get the flint very quickly and easily. There was a flint quarry nearby, so he was able to get that. But for the wood, he would need something more special. He went to go talk to the world tree, the first tree that ever grew. Now this was a giant, beautiful ginkgo tree, and he went and talked to the tree and asked her for some of her wood. And the tree told him that he could have some of her wood, but she wanted something in return. The newer trees had beautiful fall foliage, but her leaves just turned brown and gross and fell off. She wanted her leaves to be gold. So Nieren decided that he would accept her request. So he had heard of a river that had gold at the bottom of it. So he went to the river and started gathering gold, and that was going well. But then he heard loud splashing noises and heard someone splashing around, and looked, and there was someone who'd fallen into the river and was being pulled downstream. So he ran to get the person and threw a rope to him and pulled him out of the water. And the person was very grateful to him and said, "Thank you so much for saving me. My name's Locke. I want to help you. Is there something I can help you with to repay you for saving my life?" So Nieren told him about the quest that he was on to bring light to the night sky, and Locke agreed to help him with that. So he helped him gather up the rest of the gold they needed, and they brought it to the first tree, and she had him spread the gold around her on the ground so that her roots could absorb it in, and in the fall, then she would put it out into her leaves to make the beautiful fall color. So with that done, she gave him wood for the bow and the arrows, and now they needed to get the feathers. Now, they wouldn't use just any feathers, they wanted phoenix feathers. So they went to the phoenix and asked her for some of her feathers. Now, the phoenix didn't really need anything. She could have her own light at night because she's a phoenix, she could make fire, and she could do whatever she wanted. She didn't need anything, so she was already happy with her appearance, and she shed lots of feathers. So she just told him, "You can have some of my feathers, go for it, I wish you luck." So they got the feathers easy peasy, but now was the hard part. They needed to get the string, and to get the string, they were going to use the web from a giant spider. So they went up to the mountains where these giant spiders lived, and it was just covered in spider webs. And some of the web was sticky and some of it was not sticky. Obviously they needed the not sticky web for their string. So they're carefully gathering up the string. They didn't try talking to the spider because that's dangerous. And so they're gathering up the string, but then Nieren gets caught in some of the sticky web and he's all stuck, and Locke grabs him and he pulls and pulls and pulls him off the web and gets him free. Huzzah! But they're not out of danger yet because all their commotion and struggling alerted the spider to their presence, and the spider came, and the spider was looming over them, this huge gray spider. But then the men were like, wait, don't eat us. We're trying to bring light to the night sky, and that'll be good for you too. So you should not eat us, and let us have some of your rod, please. And then we'll make this good for you. And the spider was skeptical. He didn't see how letting his prey leave would be beneficial to him. So they explained, like, okay, so hey, yeah. Sorry. Maybe we can edit it.
We can edit it out.
So, get it back up a little bit.
Letting his prey leave could be beneficial.
Yeah, so he was rather skeptical of how letting his prey leave could be beneficial. So they explained, okay, so we're going to bring light to the night sky, and you hunt during the day, and the birds hunt during the day. But if there's light in the night, then you could hunt at night, so that, if the birds still hunted in the day, then the birds wouldn't be able to eat you. And so then you'd be safer. And the spider was still kind of skeptical of it, but he thought that if there was light at night, if that actually did work, then that would also bring like bugs to fly around the light, and so maybe he could eat those bugs. That'd be pretty great. And he could always go find those guys later and eat them if it didn't work out. So he agreed, let him have some of his non-sticky webs, and they hurried off before he could change his mind. So they got all the materials, and they needed to assemble the bow, but it was nighttime now, so they hunkered down for the night, and unbeknownst to them, they had been followed. The bat Ciar had been keeping an eye on what people were doing about this competition, and he noticed these men and their bow idea, and he thought that might have a chance of working. So he flew in while under the cover of darkness, came and gathered up all their materials and flew off with it. And the men could hear his great steel wings beating, but it was pitch black. They couldn't see anything, so they couldn't stop him. So once daylight came, then they went and they tracked him down to his cave, and he'd hidden the materials up high where it was difficult to reach, but they managed to climb up and gather the materials and bring him down. But as they were coming down, sliding down the rope, then Locke slipped, and Nieren slipped too, and they just dropped all their stuff, and it went clattering on the ground, and the bat woke up. So they had to get the stuff back up quickly, and they're running from Ciar, and he's flying after them, and they're having to hide in little nooks and crannies and try and put together the bow. And so they're running and hiding and having to dodge the bat. And by the time they get all this done, then night has fallen again, and it's dark again. So Nieren shot the bow and arrow up at the sky, and the steel bat Ciar swooped in front of the arrows, and since he's made of steel, then even these special arrows didn't do him any harm, and it just grazed off of him, sending up sparks everywhere. And the sparks landed in the night sky, burned little bitty bright holes in it. And so Nieren shot arrow after arrow trying to hit the night sky, and the bat just kept flying in front and reaching out with his huge wings and blocking the arrows and making more sparks fly into the sky. So there was some light in the sky now, but it wasn't enough for people to be able to travel by. So Nieren pretended to give the bow to Ciar, and he went off running, trying to be an obvious distraction. Meanwhile, Locke was being the less obvious distraction, which actually worked in making Ciar go after Locke. So then Nieren still had the bow and arrow, and so he's going to shoot the sky again, and then Ciar, who was going after Locke, he decided to make these guys stop being a problem. He was going to slam into Locke. But Ciar Nieren fired the arrow into the sky, and Ciar was too distracted, and so it tore through the night sky, ripped a great big hole in it, and lots of light came pouring through, and the sudden bright light blinded the bat, and he missed Locke, and just slammed into the ground. And with being blinded by the light, and light had come to the night, so he'd lost anyway. He had to retreat. And so the king declared that Locke and Nieren had succeeded in the quest. They had brought light to the night sky. The sparks became the stars, became known as stars, and the great big hole was the moon. And so he gave Locke and Nieren chestfuls of jewels each, and they hosted a big banquet for them and proclaimed them the light bringers of the kingdom. And so from then on, the people were able to travel at night, and Ciar wasn't able to mess with them anymore. The end.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.